So I thought I'd share some of the damages done to the Jeep after this last Jeep Jamboree up at Penns Woods. It was a little tough on the Jeep, so I'll share some of the carnage and I guess some of the projects I'll be working on. The first one is this front fender. You'll probably be able to see, got a little crease right here. That's kind of a normal spot. It's the weakest spot on the whole thing, but really the front up here is where it took the hit. Still see I haven't actually gotten it all out. There's some moss off of the rock that we hit, and the rest of the fender. This came from having to pull a brand new Rubicon Unlimited off of an obstacle in the middle of the rocks, and by the time I backed into the rocks, got myself in the right position to be able to pull them off, I slipped off of a rock and banged into the gigantic house-sized boulder that we were going past with the front fender. So the bummer is this is not the original fender. I replaced the original fender when I dented it in the first Jamboree we went to. So I'm going to see if I can pound this one out, straighten it up. It's so crazy expensive to get a fender these days, so I think I'm going to try that and see how it goes before I do that. So I'll probably have a video on that at some point. Now down here underneath the back, if you watch the videos of the Jamboree, we did a bunch of rocks, dropped off a lot of rocks and hit the back. So as you get up in here, you can really see some big dents in my, there you go, that really shows it right there. There's some big dents in the skid plate underneath the gas tank. So that took a couple of really big hits. In the past, this bumper's done pretty good for protecting it. You know, it kind of steps down a little bit and gives some protection, but this really hasn't. Now mine, you know, obviously it's got rusted. This actually was just a little bit of rust, and this got drug on some rocks too. So this whole thing got all smashed up. Luckily the tank isn't leaking. I've obviously lost some capacity, it looks like, but I'm gonna have to replace this. I'm thinking after doing some hunting, probably the worn skid plate might be the best one to get, you know, quality for the dollar kind of a thing. So I haven't actually decided yet, but at some point that will be a project I'm going to work on. And the third thing is that exhaust. This is a new tailpipe. My old muffler got a hole in it. Put a new exhaust on it back here, and obviously that thing smashed up a bunch. So it hasn't affected performance at all. Bent it out a little bit, but it's certainly not quite protected enough. So I'm thinking I may just cut the bottom off of that, so it doesn't hit the ground quite as much. But definitely took some hits here on the bottom of the Jeep. On that last trip we did a lot of rocks. The Jeep did fantastic. Otherwise, did terrific. The other thing that was tough was that Pennsylvania mud is tough to get out. It took me an hour of power washing the underside of this thing just to get the mud out, and I know that I still have not gotten it all out. So that is just one of those things, I guess. You can see the skid plate there is a little rusted, and I knew I was going to have to touch that at some point, so this has just accelerated that.